Well, good afternoon, everyone. Meteorologist Michael Wilhite here with Southern Indiana Weather, bringing you a quicker forecast update here. I've been under the weather the past week, so I apologize. Not had much time to do videos. I've been laying on the couch with an upper respiratory infection. Not a very pleasant experience, but getting there. The antibiotics are working. I'm certainly thankful to be feeling better. Active weather day down across our south. Not really a whole lot going on here in the southern Indiana weather area. If we zoom in here more towards the Midwest, you can see there's pretty much a stalled out cold front that'll come through on Wednesday, but we're going to stay pretty decently warm. In fact, if we zoom into our area here a little bit more, really pleasant temperatures for January wise. We're at 3:53 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday, the 22nd of January. As I'm recording this, it's 59 here in Huntingburg, 61 in Evansville, 61 all the way as north as Indy, 63 there in Louisville. You can't really beat that for January weather. There are a couple of small showers out there, but really nothing big. You actually need to zoom back out and then look down here towards the south. That's where most of the action is going out on today. They got a pretty decent little severe weather outbreak going on down there, and really it's this line here that we're going to be more concerned about than anything. As you can see, multiple tornado warnings out there. There have been some confirmed tornadoes with this, and of course right along the warm front here, the stalled out warm front, going to be the worst area for a lot of these tornadoes, just to sort of latch onto that front, and that's exactly where you see those are. Got some severe thunderstorm warnings there as well, and so it's going to be a rough day down there. In fact, it's a pretty rare high risk day. Storm Prediction Center rarely ever puts these high risks out. Every 2 or 3 years they put one out, only when they're extremely confident that something's going to happen. And panning out today, there's some violent tornadoes going on down to our south, but around here in southern Indiana, really nothing to worry about here today. Certainly no severe risk for us. Maybe a couple of spotty showers here. As I said, you go back towards us, just a couple of spotty showers, and we're only going to go with about a 20 or 30% chance of pretty much anything hitting us today. And you can see that here's future radar down to our south, and you can see the evolution of that complex down to our south. Going to be a pretty bad day down to our south, but if you come back up here, really not a whole lot going on. In fact, future radar kind of exaggerating. Usually its first couple of hours here on the HERM model has a habit of exaggerating what's going on around the area, but there's the low down to our south sort of spinning up, and so you've got some back showers coming in here into the eastern part of Kentucky. Really not making it down to us, so I wouldn't rule out some showers, but I wouldn't give it more than a 20 or 30% chance today. It's really not going to be a bad day outside overall. In fact, it's going to be a few days of looking like that. If you switch over to the high res NAM, you get a little bit longer loop here than the 18 hours or so there, and you can see, well, here we're already into Monday. Nothing really going on Monday. Tuesday, not much going on. Even on Wednesday, there's some action up to our north there, but not a whole lot going on either. So let me show you the wider view out to this with the GFS. There's that big low down to our south that's causing the severe weather with the fronts down there. And again, doesn't produce a whole lot for us. It moves out of the area. Going to be pretty much dry for the most part on Monday and Tuesday. We can't rule out some small chances of showers there on Monday, but really I'd be surprised. I wouldn't put it at more than a 20% chance. The next front for us rolls through here on Wednesday, but as you see it roll through here into the area, it's pretty much just a dry front. There's some snow up to our north. That's well across the area, but watch the lines change. These red dashed lines and blue dashed lines, that's heights at about, that's the 500 millibar heights. And so you're looking at heights at around, several thousand feet, 40,000 feet or so, 20,000 feet or so up into the air. And, this symbolizes here colder weather. So the first blue line is our 540 thickness line. That's typically the rain snow changeover line. Not always, it's just kind of a rough estimation of it. But what happens is when you see those blue lines come back over you, cold air is advecting back in, and so it's going to get colder behind this cold front. It's going to be much colder. Actually, look at the lake effect snow showers that are going to go on here. I doubt we're going to get any of this in southern Indiana, but you can see the lake effect snow machine kind of cranking up there for the Great Lakes, and spilling into parts of Ohio and Pennsylvania and even into West Virginia here, seeing some of that. But for us, it's going to remain pretty quiet. We're going to go into a drier period. That's a good thing. We've had a lot of rain. We could use some sunshine coming back. There will be some storms that start to approach later on down in towards the end of the month. Here we're at to the 30th, and there's a system that looks like it's probably going to go to our north. There are some hints that it might bring some snow showers to us, but I wouldn't bet on anything with that at this point. There's another clipper system to our north, and then there's a bigger system the modeling now has for us as we head later into the month that could give us some significant snow on this run. But again, I don't put any stock with that at this point because, at this point we're at February 7th on the models, and that's out there in Fantasyland. So, for those of you that are saying, are we ever going to see snow again? Well, let's just put it this way. The pattern is not overly conducive to it right now. PNA is coming back into a more favorable pattern for it. That's a good thing. So you got the PNA going positive. That's needed. That puts the trough in the eastern part of the United States over us rather than out into the west. We need that to get the cooler air coming back into here. But the problem is the North Atlantic Oscillation, the blocking up around Greenland, is going positive again, so there's not going to be any blocking. Arctic Oscillation going very much into the positive category, so cold Arctic air not going to be available from Canada to be moved down here. And of course, with no blocking, you can expect this is probably going to be positive. So bottom line is the indices aren't there. Even the EPO is not really favorable. It's been positive for a good little while. Here's our warm up. We're starting to cool down, but doesn't really dip anywhere significant down into the negative until maybe, just maybe, as you're starting to hit February. But look at all these other color bubbles. These are previous runs, and then the blue is the analyzed. So the previous runs will tell you this has been all over the place, and so that's a significant problem. So I wouldn't necessarily trust this to say that it's going to go down into the negative. You can see all these previous runs. There's a lot of volatility right now in the indices. All that to say, not a very conducive pattern for snow. Could we get snow out of this? Well, sure we could. The temperatures are certainly going to be more favorable towards that as we take a look at our temperature spread over the next couple of weeks out here from the GFS ensembles. We got some warm days coming up again. Sure was nice to hit the upper 60s yesterday. That was a nice little January thaw. And we got the January thaw continuing for a little while. I say 49, 52. Those are very, very pleasant temperatures for January standards. But once the front rolls through, we're talking temperatures more in the 30s to near 40 until as you start to go into the period towards ending January and beginning February. So that's certainly more conducive towards snow. These temperatures can be knocked back a few degrees easy if a front rolls through with some precipitation to give some snow. So I wouldn't rule out something, but I don't see anything significant at this time in the future. We're in a pattern right now that, do I think it's going to snow anymore this winter? I do. I'd be surprised if it didn't have at least one more snow event for us this winter, but I don't think this is going to be a big event, honestly. The winter forecast I put out, just, a lot of it has just not come true, and that's just the way it goes. Sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. I'm actually going to have an updated look at the winter forecast here with my next video out here in a few days, 2 or 3 days from now. Look for that out here. We'll look at what's going on with the how everybody's doing on the snow totals so far, and we'll look at what to expect the rest of the winter. I can tell you right now it's going to be a big update compared to what it was because the winter's just not handled itself. And it's always a gamble. Seasonal forecasting is always a challenge. And not very many people have had a good winter forecast this year. It's just been a very unique year. But we'll talk about our chances that I see coming down the pipe, whether anything's coming up. Again, nothing that I see significant right now in the early models here, but maybe later on in February. We'll talk about some of those chances in a future video here in a little bit. But for now, that's it. Just say a prayer down for the south. A very bad day going on there down for the southeast with all the tornado warnings, and there have been some confirmed damage on the ground already, so definitely thoughts and prayers out to all the folks down there. Enjoy your little January thaw. The temperatures will come crashing as we head later into the week. I'm meteorologist Michael Wilhite for SouthernIndianaWeather.com. Have a great day, folks.